Okay, so here's a short film showing you around my Ford Zephyr Mk2 1960 Ford Zephyr, which is for sale on eBay at the moment. I thought I'd give you a little bit of a tour because these cars are few and far to find, and the distances can be quite difficult. So if you have a bit of an idea before you can come down and have a look, that might help. This is just to give you an idea of the car. If you have any questions, just give me a ring, send me an email, and I'll do my best to answer anything. It's a lovely iconic car of the rock and roll era. I bought it in 2003 from a guy who found it in a barn. He had done quite a lot of work to it, but it was a long way from MOT ready. At that time I had it painted, I had the seats retrimmed as they were in a dreadful state, and it still looks pretty good, but it was now 11 years ago. The tyres are radial white wall bands. Ran it for years on cross plies, but the radial make a much safer drive. They're still quite pretty, even though they're just a little band rather than a full white wall. The hubcaps are actually Mark III Zephyr hubcaps. I just preferred them because they give a much more sleek look to the wheel, and it really goes well with the US import wheel trims that I've put on just recently. The dog leg, which separates the red and the ivory, I think it makes a really nice extra, and for the Zodiac rather than the Zephyr, but it looks really smart. I love the front of the car. The chrome looks really great against the red paintwork. The bonnet ornament is actually from a 51 Chevy, which I put on there because the original one got stolen, and I looked around for something that would match the bonnet profile exactly. Wipers are not as pretty as they might be. They're modern wipers, which means you can always get the heads for them very easily. I got them after having a quite terrifying drive through the mist, where the old wipers were just doing nothing but wave ineffectually on the windscreen. So to make the car practical, as I was using it as a daily driver, I put these on instead. The Memento Mori skeleton unfortunately will not be coming with the car, so I need it to keep myself safe in my next car. A nice addition is the spotlight, which was common on cars of the period, and I've scoured eBay for this particular one because I like it better than the one on an arm. It works, and I mainly use it just to thank people who have let me out and stuff like that. eBay find was these red American spec indicator lights. They're legal on a car of this age, with the white indicators at the front and the red at the back, and I think it really sets off the car really nicely, and it's just different than the norm. Unfortunately, at the time of making these cars, they used this rubbish metal called Mazic for the chrome parts, and it's just not up to the job really. I have been looking for new chrome taillight surrounds because they make up such a good part of the car. These aren't the worst I've seen, but they could be do with looking for a nicer one. Other parts made by this awful metal are the door handles, which I've replaced one of them with a brand new one, which is nice. But I was slowly looking for parts for it, just to make it just that little bit better. Inside the car now. The steering wheel cover I had made specially for the car. It's in the colours of the car, and I think it looks really nice. It also makes the steering wheel much more comfortable to drive. There's a set of switches on the dash which are extra for the extra features in the car, which I'll go through in a minute. And as you can see, there's a number of chrome skulls to continue the Memento Mori theme. So the skulls are just a personal touch of mine really. I like them, they're a bit of a hot rod thing, and they're to remind you to drive safe, because if you don't, this is all you become. And there's a number of them dotted around the car. There's the gear shift, and then there's the cigarette lighter, and ashtray knob, and a couple front and back bumpers. Okay, so here we have the switches that you don't find normally on Zephyrs of this period. If you really wanted to try and put the car back to normal, which you could by just replacing the skull bits and putting the aluminium trim back over, which would help cover over the holes, then you could easily get rid of those. You've got the heated seats, which is you have for high and low there, which is lovely in the winter because it takes a little bit while of time for the big engine to warm up when it's cold for the heater to work, which it does. And then you have a petrol pump here. I like to leave that switched off just as a safety precaution thing really, and if you chance of anyone try to steal it, well, maybe it's something else that will slow them down. Then you've got the police style spotlight here, and then you have reverse lights and reverse sensors and reverse camera all on that switch there. And then you have the water washer there. And over here you have a new switch for the windscreen wipers. It's low speed, high speed like that, and we'll turn it off. Unfortunately they don't self-park, but that's easy if you can get a switch which self-parks. I just prefer to have a switch matching all the other ones. So let's switch her on. She'll need a little bit of choke because it's cold and it's a big engine with a big carburettor, so a little bit of choke. So she's going to take a little bit of time to warm up. Petrol pump on, and let's see what she'll do. She'll have to warm up a bit first, but it's a lovely note of the engine. You can see down here the vacuum gauge is also showing that it's a cold day and she's going to take a bit of time to warm up, but that will normally run in the idle section. Sometimes even a bit lower than the green box there. And as you can also see, also the high-powered alternator is doing its bit and it's charging the voltmeter really well. Another item which didn't come with the car as standard. It's a screen for the cameras, and looks just unobtrusive and normal use. And then if you just need it, you hit the button and it springs up. Sometimes better than others. I first put the cameras on when I had a stereo that had a screen on it. Unfortunately that went wrong and I replaced it with a very nice Sony Explode stereo with bass speakers under front seat and in the boot. Again, if that's not your thing, you can just remove them and just have a normal stereo. It's quite nice though because it's connected to the camera in the number plate, and you can just change it to get a view out the back. That's really useful on a day when your back screen is fogging up, as it does in lots of these classic cars. Okay, so now we're under the bonnet. The bonnet is actually a fiberglass bonnet, but it's a very, very good quality item. The original bonnet was just too rotten to save. As you can see, the car was originally this rather nasty kind of battleship grey, which by the time I got the car it was already burgundy and I wasn't going to paint it this colour. I kind of wanted a pristine kind of red and ivory look. Other additions for reliability is that there is a electronic ignition underneath here, which is nice that it's all hidden away. And also this fan, I don't know if you can see it, but that automatically adjusts to the heat of the engine, so when it is running cold it will let less air through, and when it's running hot it will put more air through, which is also really nice. Another addition which I made because I was using this car as a daily driver was the high power starter motor just down here. This was quite expensive, but it's been worth every penny. In the old days with the old starter motor, it would be quite strange to start her on a cold morning. With this thing, she'll start every time. As you can hear, the fuel pump is going, so let's just start her. It's a lovely sounding engine, it's got lots of torque, and I'm really going to miss driving it. Okay, just a quick look into the boot. It's all very solid under here, none of the usual rust problems at all. As you can see, there's one of the big bass amps at the back. The amp that's actually powering it is not that great, but it's just a cheap replacement which I got when the original one I had went wrong. The big jack at the back that you can see, that will be coming with the car, because as these cars are such cruisers, they need quite a large jack to get the wheels off the floor if changing a tyre. So there she is. As you can see, I'm not going to give the presenters of Top Gear a run for their money, but I hope I've given you an overview of the car. As I said, give me a ring if you have any questions, or send a message, and ruin my day, buy my car.